Pandemonium Reigns.
The General Robert Neyland showed his true allegiance on Saturday. The Yell leaders from the Aggies tried to declare that he is an Aggie, but he's not. He is very much a volunteer to the tune of 20-13. Tennessee 20, Aggies 13. What a wild ride that was. This is Pandemonium Reigns. I'm Dan. He's Mike. We're going to talk about it. What a freaking roller coaster on Saturday, dude.
I went so far as to look at my heart rate data from my watch, and I was disappointed because I think I broke the data, basically, is what happened. Because there was nothing out of the ordinary, but that is not the feeling that I got inside these bones. And my goodness, the palpitations that were happening throughout that game, even early. Just going ahead and ripping off the Band-Aid here. Let's get into it a little bit. When A&M, when Tennessee punted, A&M scored, and Tennessee turned it over on downs, I believe was the next sequence. Mm-hmm. There goes the heart rate. Blood pressure's up. We're cooking. We're looking ugly. And did that game flip.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So let's just kind of dive into this as you're saying. Let's talk about what everybody's talking about. Let's talk about Joe.
Yeah, let's get that out the way, I think.
Let's talk about Joe. I can't figure this dude out, man. I cannot figure him out. He's got all the dang talent in the world, and he just has some boneheaded moments, as if the moment is just bigger than he is, and he's like a deer in headlights. I'm not going to understand Ole Miss 21 not putting the ball in the air. I'm not going to understand that. I'm not going to understand a free play. And he knew it was offsides, dude. That's why you could tell by his body language.
Yep.
If you're going to run, get the first down. You are 6'5", 240. You had this moment, bro, where you talked about going home to Pacahoochee, Florida, wherever it is you're from, and looking in the mirror and saying, God has given you this frame at 6'5", 240. Put your shoulder down. Why did it take you until the third quarter to have that mindset? It's a free play. If you're not going to, then throw it. If it gets picked, it doesn't matter. What bothered me even more, sorry, let me cut you off real quick. What bothered me even more, A&M turns around and Max Johnson runs around like it's backyard football to find the end zone. And Joe's just like, I don't know, man. That was probably the most frustrating sequence of events for me.
Yeah, that and the fourth down play, which I think, again, was Tennessee's second drive, if I'm not forgetting. The fourth down, the crazy formation. You had Sampson, I think, maybe Jalen Wright. I think it was Sampson, though, to basically the line to gain. And you had a receiver, maybe Keaton, 5-10 yards deeper. I wonder if the spacing was off there and that was part of his confusion. But you have him run himself out of room and then put the ball in the air with nobody at all ever having a chance. Now, look, let me say this. I think there was a quick moment, a brief moment, like – you got to make the decision, throw the ball accurately in a window where he could have got it to Dylan Sampson, I think, with 3 to 5 yards to gain, reasonably. It was well covered, but you can't do that. You can't choose option C and do neither. You either run, you run and lower the shoulder the way you did later in the game, taking out 2 Aggies, by the way, in the process.
Yeah.
Or you throw it and give your guy a chance before you reach the out of bounds line. It's real simple.
He missed a window as far as time goes in order to throw the ball. And by the time it was too late, he made an even worse decision just by, threading a needle. Dude, it's fourth down. You've got to put the ball in the air. If it gets picked, it's fourth down. It's fourth down. I just don't have many words. And this was this not my fear? I mean, give me some credit here, dude. Was this not my fear going in? He's got does he have it between the ears? And I said on the TikTok and the Instagram, it's always funny to reference TikTok. Like, yeah, we run a TikTok. Anyway, whatever. Here we are back to this conversation on Joe. Like, who is he? What's he capable of? And for the guys out there saying it's time, you need to pull him. We need to ride with Nico. Are you really going to tell me you're going to run with Nico in Tuscaloosa? Is that really what you're telling me? I think that is stupidity. And here's the part that sucks about that, dude, is we've missed that window. I think you nailed this in a text thread. That opportunity was yesterday. Yesterday being the past. You done missed that window. He should have gotten more time in Austin Peay. He should have gotten more time against Virginia. But here we are. And one of the, I know that I sound uber negative about this whole situation right now, but I'm just so dang frustrated because I feel like what I'm about to say is gonna send you through the roof. Maybe. I think in this offense, Jarrett Guarantano would do better.
No, that doesn't even make me mad. It really doesn't, because I don't want to put anybody down. Even if I was to put Jarrett Guarantano down, I don't want to do that because we've done enough of that, you know. But look at who Hendon Hooker was coming into this offense.
Yeah, oh sure.
He was not a Heisman candidate coming into this offense. Nobody can tell me that. Now, great athlete, yeah. Obviously a good passer. He was not a Heisman candidate coming into this offense. There's a reason. I think there's a valid reason that Joe Milton beat him out in 2021, other than freakish arm strength. I really do.
Yeah.
And nobody gets practice access once the rubber hits the road, once the competition starts, once it's not routes on air. Yeah. No one gets to see that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're correct. I think you're totally correct, because Hendon Hooker was no Heisman candidate coming in here. Joe Milton lost a job in Michigan, did not perform well at Michigan. I don't think you can put Joe in a box like that. I think if Joe Milton is to succeed, that it needs to be in an offense like this, where there is creativity, where there is flexibility in the routes that are ran, where it's a couple of offensive gurus, in the sense that Josh Heupel's done this for a long time. This is the worst quarterback play that he's had. Halsley's been with him for a long time, 15 plus years. So he gets looped right into that. If you're asking me, mm-hmm. Alex Golesh, even being the offensive coordinator, didn't work with the quarterbacks. Halsley's been the quarterback's coach. So it's not like I could point the finger at, staff changes for this issue.
Right.
I do think there's levels to it, in the sense that the receivers, they're not holding up much of their bargain at all. From what we expected, they are not holding up much to any of it.
That's fair.
And look, Joe was 11 of 22, 50% exactly, with some terrible throws, with a couple drops. That's been a consistent theme. Another drop touchdown from Ramel Keaton. We're not going there right now, but I just don't get it, man. And I think you're 100% correct. Jarrett Guarantano could succeed in this offense.
I listened to Locked on Vols this morning. I'm gonna give you it's basically a stat that he threw out. You're gonna love this. 4 of the 5 lowest scoring games in Heupel's time at Tennessee have been with Joe at quarterback. The one that's not Joe is Hendon Hooker, Pittsburgh 2022. So we got Bowling Green 2021. It might be the 21 game. That might be a mess up from him. Bowling Green 2021. Clemson, the Orange Bowl, which he played excellent. So I'm not actually going to hold that one against him.
No.
Austin Peay, that should be held against him.
Yes.
And then Texas A&M.
Yeah. I do think something's a little bit off there because of Georgia 2022, for one. That was an extremely low scoring game where Tennessee scored 13, I believe. But yeah, no, I mean, I just can't – I don't understand how he looked so much. I don't know if this is even – I'm making stuff up at this point. He looked mentally free when he would come in last year and Tennessee was up. He was not QB1.
There was no pressure.
Even against Clemson, that's what I can't get – that's what I cannot wrap my head around, is how did he put that performance together against Clemson? And let's also acknowledge that it was the second half when things really, really clicked for Tennessee offensively in that game. Yes, we scored points in the first half, but I just don't know how we go from that. And obviously, like you just said, there was no pressure in garbage time. There never is. But he wasn't making these mistakes in those moments. He didn't make those mistakes against Clemson. If he did, it was so minimal that I don't remember it. And his best game of the season at this point is week 1 against Virginia, which, not that they're a good team, but like we've said as well, the talent difference, Austin Peay might have been better, to make Joe look like that, you can't convince me that it's something with him and the receivers.
Absolutely.
UTSA, he looked better until the knee tweak. No reason to revisit it. Florida, he played better against Florida, really, than he played Saturday, I would say.
There's an argument there. Yeah, there's an argument there.
Sure. The pick was awful against Florida. The pick was horrendous against Texas A&M.
Yes, absolutely horrendous. And referencing the Orange Bowl just for a minute, did we get a preview back in December, January, whenever that game was played, of what Clemson was about to be in 2023? I mean, so there's that one thing that we have to consider. Like they're not up. I don't want to say they're not good. They're not Clemson good.
Hey, I've got the perfect example. They're a version of Texas A&M is what they are. They're uber talented. Every position, they're uber talented. Yeah. And they're just not, no one consistently is living up to that billing. In fact, for both teams, the guys that are living up to that billing the most are the defensive fronts. To an extent, for Clemson, they're better in the secondary. I would say they're as good or better at linebacker. Although Texas A&M has some dudes at linebacker.
Yes.
And then the offensive lines are probably pretty consistent because in the Clemson game you had Aaron Beasley absolutely making life miserable for Cade Klubnik. And in this game, it was a bevy of dudes led by James Pierce making Max Johnson's day horrible.
Yeah. But we're talking about this no pressure Joe, like how he thrives in the moments that don't matter. Another reference that I want to make to the Orange Bowl is, for these current players, the bowl games don't mean to them what they mean to like you and I, right?
Absolutely.
So there's that factor as well, which I do think is a variable here.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, Joe, statistics, I believe, if I remember right, it was 11 for 22.
Yeah.
For 100 yards, a touchdown, and an atrocious pick. On the rapid reaction, I said, imagine if we could put the ball in the air in that game.
You put last year's defense. I'm sorry, this year's defense on last year's offense. Put Hendon Hooker on this team with the guys that are on this team. Give me any number of variables. I mean, look, I think I joked more so about it earlier that Joe is kind of Kelly Bryant, and I'm not at all saying that Nico is Trevor Lawrence, but Joe really, really looks like Kelly Bryant right now. I would even take Kelly Bryant's passing and decision-making to an extent, if not decidedly, over Joe Milton's at the moment. And just to kind of talk about Nico another brief second, yeah, I mean, you've missed the window right now. You've missed the window in the cleanup time that should have been provided for him early in the season. It was way too late in Virginia. It was late in UTSA. We didn't even give him a chance against Austin Peay, which is so silly. But now you're looking at basically, if you get to Nico at this point, you're either way up on an opponent like UK or Missouri or Connecticut, which absolutely should happen, or Joe has performed so bad in Tuscaloosa and in Lexington that it comes to Nico time. Those are your options.
Let's say that Nico starts UConn, and we just say bump it. Whether we split to Alabama, Kentucky 1-1, 0-2, 2-0, whatever. Let's say Nico starts UConn. All right.
Yeah.
And does serviceable. 12 for 21, a $189 touchdown, something like that. Okay. Are you really going to continue that with a trip to Columbia, Missouri? Missouri's making a case for the second best team in the division. They're making an argument. I'm not saying that they are. I'm not saying that they are, but there's people who get paid a lot of money who believe that they are. They're playing really well. Say what you want to. Consider the competition. I don't care. Are you going to do that? It's going to be a night game.
I think we said it on here that Kentucky was going to be a night game. Well, it is 7 p.m.
It's a night game.
Kick time for that game. It's going to be a night game at Missouri, unless I don't know what happens. It would take some really weird losses for both teams to make that a noon. It's not going to be CBS 3:30 unless the slate is just miserable that day, which can happen in November. Let's not say it can't. That there's a couple bad weeks where there's UConns for other teams in the SEC and things like that. But look, to Mizzou's point, they are fourth in the conference with points per game at 33.9, one slot ahead and a few decimal points ahead of Tennessee in that category. They are not doing so hot rushing the ball, but their pass game is ranked at 5th currently in the conference, yards per game. So, yeah, that not going to be a tough environment, but it's absolutely a game that you cannot go mess around in.
Oh, you'll lose it. I mean, Brady Cook's playing out of his mind. Luther Burden is always going to be a problem. That's a very losable game if we get the type of performance out of quarterback that we just did. And then let's say he goes to Missouri and squeaks out a win by a last second field goal or whatever. You can turn around and host Georgia with that. I mean, really?
No, absolutely. You don't look if you want to turn. And I'm very sorry. Again, this is so harsh, but if you want to turn Nico into Justin Worley or Nathan Peterman, let his first experience come in Tuscaloosa or against Georgia's defense at home. If you want to turn him into Justin Worley, if you want to kill his mindset and you want to make him think that that's the norm, go ahead and do it. You only gave him an $8 million NIL deal. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, let me set this up real quick. So if Nico was that much better, right, it would show in practice and the writing would be on the wall. My only argument to that is Heupel was going to ride with Joe in 21 until he went down.
I think so. At this point, I think so.
If Joe doesn't get hurt, that's a total mismanagement so my only argument to the Nico thing is Hendon Hooker sitting on the bench?
Yeah,
or is something better sitting on the bench? Can Heupel recognize it? Because he didn't recognize it September 2021.
100% agree. And I'm not. Look, I've got a literal notepad, a whole note sheet full of good and bad from this game.
Okay.
I'm also going to mention that at the same time that we have these issues on offense, and I'm including the receivers here, and I'm like, okay. Let's just say this. The bad from that game was your quarterback and your receiver play. For the most part, that's your bad play. The running back's terrific. Offensive line, more than enough from the offensive line. That was so much worse than last year to start this season. You're not getting plays made from your wide receivers. You're not getting any yards after the catch. And look, Brew was, unless you hit one of the fast guys going down the field, Brew is your yards after the catch guy. Let's acknowledge that. He's going to drive somebody 5-10 yards. He's going to drag a couple guys. Doing all these things, you're considering all these facts that the pass game is struggling in ways that Heupel has never struggled with the pass game. You're still not giving D. Williams a chance on offense. A screen pass, a jet sweep. You're still not doing these things. He saved your butt on Saturday.
Player of the game, man.
Player of the game. Him and James Pierce, players of the game, hands down.
Apparently he was asked post-game. Did you hear about this?
I did.
I'm not sure. Do you know how they framed that question?
He was asked if he's been lobbying for a spot on offense, and he says yes, he absolutely has, and that he thinks that the moment will come soon, and that he'll be ready when it does come. And look, you can't tell me he won't be ready. You know the importance. You and I know the importance of the number 12 on Texas A&M's football team.
Mm-hmm.
He made number 12 look silly on that punt return.
Silly, yeah, silly rabbit. Looked at me, and I loved it. That was awesome.
It was awesome.
That was awesome. All right, well, Joe is what he is at this point. I think we know.
Absolutely.
I think we all know. And it's just a matter of come Saturday, what Joe do we get? You mentioned receiver play, 11 catches, 100 yards. Chad Nimrod led in catches and yards. Nobody saw that coming. Our long
nice response from the redshirt freshman there.
Yeah,
making
for sure.
Tough catches in traffic.
For sure. But our longest play through the air, 17
yards.
I mean, Joe himself had a rush for 19. That's longer. Jalen Wright had a rush for 23. So let's shift to rushing for a second.
Oh yeah.
If we could put the ball in the air, imagine the possibilities. After still rushing for 232 yards against a defense that was holding opponents to an 84-yard average.
And let's acknowledge, and just playing off that, they're allowing 84 yards on average. we talked about how sacks were skewing that number down.
Yeah.
They sacked Joe 3 times on something like 25 dropbacks. Only 3 sacks, which is credit Glenn Ellerby, credit offensive line. Nice job. Because the pass game was putrid, as we're saying. And then the running backs, led by Jalen Wright, 230 yards on the ground.
Yeah, dude.
Let's say that number skewed down from like 110 to 84. That's pretty extreme. 25 yards of sacks. That's pretty extreme.
Yeah, dude.
That's a lot of flexibility I'm giving their defense right there. And we outdid that by 120. And they knew it was coming a lot of times.
Outrageous.
And also, I'm going to criticize DJ Durkin for a minute. There was a comment floating around online. Surely he didn't make it. Surely it was one of those made up things that you just don't see coaches say, because it was silly talking about not hearing, Rocky Top, things like that. They're not going to be hearing Rocky Top. You don't do that. I don't think he would do that. He's been a head coach, although a bad one. What kind of guy doesn't load the box a little bit more by, say, the start of the second quarter in that game?
I'm pretty sure I have a text from you at halftime saying if they don't do this, they're stupid.
Bro, I mean, look, there was a couple of sequences where they did. Look, Ollie Lane had a hold. Joe did get sacked. One of his 3 sacks. We did have a negative play, 2nd and 15 or 18, and we run for 15 or 17 yards. What are y'all doing?
Yeah. Your sentence there was incomplete. Ollie Lane had a hold again.
Yeah, again. Yeah, you're correct. When is Andre Cart back?
I'm soon enough.
Sorry.
Not soon enough.
I appreciate your effort, man. But
not soon enough.
My.
Check out this stat provided by Brent Hubbs. 294 yards of Jalen Wright's season rushing yards this year, which I believe he's now over 500, came after contact. 294 after contact, bro.
Yeah, he's at 570 on the year.
Yeah,
294 of 570 after contact.
So 52% of his yards are after contact. He's gone, bro. He's
absolutely gone. Yeah. I saw another thing where, and I don't think Raheem Sanders played a lot in this game. I can see it for sure, and obviously with the other guys. But there was a stat that someone put out, and I'll try to find it in just a minute. But Jalen Wright exceeded what Jace McClellan did, what Raheem Rocket Sanders did, and what Jarquez Hunter did combined.
Nice.
In their respective games against Texas A&M. He exceeded it in the lone game that we had Saturday.
Nice. Now, I do think that one thing that really went our way, and I don't know that these numbers hit the ceiling that they did if Edgerrin Cooper doesn't get hurt. That dude was a one-man wrecking ball. He was
all over
the field.
He was all up in the gap. Whatever gap that Jalen decided to go through, he was there. He was coming around the backside if he had to. That stat that I provided a minute ago, courtesy of Jack Foster Media, at Jack Foster Media on Twitter /X. Yeah, Edgerrin Cooper was a dog for them. I mean, again, this is, if you're Joe, this is why you run physically. This is why you do those things, because you make them think about it when they go to tackle you. Oh my gosh, he's going to run me over. I've got to make a business decision. I got to get out of the way. Yeah. Let me try to take him down by his shoestrings, not by his, full frame coming full head of steam at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. Just want to throw this in while we're on the topic. I appreciate the calls of the quarterback draws of anytime Joe did decide to get going on a pass play. Thank you. We've been waiting for it. We've been asking for it. Didn't work every time. Never going to. Heupel was heavily critical of himself in the game that they called 4th down, 3rd down decisions. Thank you for the quarterback draws.
Yeah,
put them in the game plan for Saturday.
Yeah,
if they work for 0-3 yards, run them. You have to.
Yeah, I believe that 23-yard run from Joe came on a neat little speed option with the receiver from the back side of the play coming in for that option pitch, and he just held on to it. You mentioned the draws, though. I was just about to say this. Like, don't show me another quarterback draw with Joe. Show me a quarterback power. No, that's the first time all year that it's kind of been there.
Yeah. But also the most attempts that we've given it.
That's fair. But why not a quarterback power? Why not a read option of some sort? I mean,
I'm good with it. I'm here for it.
At this point, especially with Bama on deck, you better throw some stuff at them and make them defend all the things, because as good as this A&M defense is on paper, Bama's defense is better on the field. I don't care what the stats say.
Couldn't agree with you more. Because they probably don't match Texas A&M statistically right now. They probably don't. Where Texas A&M is skewed down to numbers like allowing 84 rush yards per game, they played Texas and they got abused by Texas at moments.
Yeah.
And credit to A&M, because they did play Miami. We talked about that. They held Alabama in check, except for the explosive pass play down the field, which again is a shame that Joe couldn't take advantage of that. It's a real shame.
Yeah,
it's pretty unexcusable. But I'm kind of moving on from Joe at this point. But yeah, I'm totally with you.
One more thing on Joe. I'm sorry, one more thing.
No, you're fine.
If Ramel catches that ball and scores, are we saying anything different about Joe? Is the narrative the same?
No, because that was a brilliant play design. Credit to Joe for putting air under it. I mean, Ramel had to take like a sidestep to adjust to it. I'm not at all excusing Ramel on that. That's a play call, though, is what that is. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
You got him behind the defense in a short yardage situation. And it wasn't just a vertical where he put a move on a guy like I'd asked for him to do. And he couldn't take advantage of it.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, no kidding. All right, here comes the fun stuff. Defense.
Yes.
Who would have thunk going in this year we were talking about how elite our defense is playing? And I don't use that lightly. Check this out. Pierce, he's the highest graded defensive lineman in the conference, according to PFF. Grading out at 91.6 thus far. That is an elite grade, bro. Check this out. It only gets better. Haddon, he's grading out in coverage at 90.3. Guess where that ranks in the DBs in the conference? First.
Haddon, I'm sorry. Here's my
you all had an apology.
Here's my verbal apology. I've not got around to the written one yet. It's in the mail, or it will be in the mail later this week. I'm very sorry. He's playing the pass better than he's ever done, and he played the pass so poorly against Texas. No, Austin Peay. Excuse me. He played the pass poorly.
Yeah,
got himself hit with a couple PIs, and look, he followed that up with the play at Florida. So again, I'm sorry. What a bounce back. Being in position to take advantage of Spencer Rattler's throw, batting yourself against Max Johnson and Texas A&M. That was nasty, is what that was.
Yeah,
and it was helped by the pass rush. But we're taking advantage of it. We're not giving up the bomb as the quarterback gets hit. We're holding them to the sticks if they do make the catch. They didn't have a lot of yak either. And look here, okay, Evan Stewart, 4 for 48. Anais Smith, 1 for 20. Moose Muhammad, who is like, I'm going to say he's got like a sprinkle of Jawan Jennings, a little bit of move the chains in his game. 2 for 11.
Yeah.
That's elite. That's elite secondary play that is only helped and really made possible by your defensive front, mainly by James Pierce. The dude only played 34 of 68 snaps per Ryan Sylvia, and his grade up for the game was 92.2. That's absolutely elite, just like you're saying. I mean, what a bounce back. What a breakout for James Pierce. All the things that we talked about with the stats when a preview of this game ran long, boy, are they only looking true.
Is there anybody else that you want to apologize to?
Tim Banks, Willie Martinez, and look, early in that game, I still had some remarks for Willie Martinez. I now recognize because my heart rate, my blood pressure is much lower. Tamari McDonald, look, I think it was a slot fade. Nickel is so hard to play, and Theo Jackson excelled at it. Who would have seen that coming? Tamari McDonald's not been bad. Last year, he was one of your better secondary players.
Yeah,
he got beat on a couple tough throws, and look, I would certainly prefer it if his head is facing the quarterback. If he's turned that head by the time it gets there, but man, if their best, or let me say this, if their most explosive plays down the field were slot fades and 50-50 scenarios, you're going to get beat. That's the nature of the secondary positions.
Well, that ball placement, that was not a 50-50 ball. It
was perfectly placed.
Yeah. That ball was placed where only he could get it. Man, defense. I mean, you're raving about it. James Pierce, we talked about this through all this stuff at you going into this game about his potential and what he can do in a year. Adds another sack to his resume, putting him now at 6 with Alabama, and we won't face. Okay, so Alabama. What are my words here? Nobody's been sacked more. Out of the opponents that remain on our schedule, nobody's been sacked more. And that kid from Arkansas had a field day. I think he at least had 2. He was co-defensive lineman of the week with James Pierce. So there's that. I like his trajectory to be a all-time single-season sack record holder. Sorry, words there. By the time the season comes to an end, I like his odds, man.
Man, he's going to fly up draft boards. He's got a full another season of doing what he's doing right now. While he's doing that, your guys on the other end, your Joshua Josephs, your guys that haven't even seen the field yet, they're only getting stronger and better. Someone's going to have to take Tyler Barron's place probably because he's playing his best ball. Right now, we're positioned to do that, man. We're positioned to replace guys on the defensive line like we've not been positioned to do in some time.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. We know we haven't seen much as arguably as we saw from Tyree West last year in his freshman campaign.
Yeah.
We're only going to see more of him. Bryson Easton's got another year back if he wants it. I mean, we're positioned really well. This is the way if you're gonna quick fix your defense, there's no other way to do it. It's via the pass rush, okay? And massive credit to Rodney Garner. I mean, he's underpaid. Double his salary, triple it, I don't care.
Do it now.
But Tim Banks, my only complaint is, and I've got a couple examples written down if I can find them, but there were a couple second and third and longs where it's like we just I think it's when we went zone is really what it may boil down to. And again, they did the exact same thing that I previewed, finding the guy at the stick, you know what I mean? Or getting just enough to pick up the second or third, and long. But overall, brilliant job. Never in my wildest imaginations would I have thought we could have done that to Texas A&M, or even the stuff we've done this point in the year. Even South Carolina, who's been very sus at that position.
Yeah. I just want to point out that your magic number for sacks to win that game was 3. And we had 2.
You're absolutely correct. I said we needed 3. And the 2, what was that? That was that Barron getting the other one alongside Pierce.
Yep.
Well, so that's not even taking into account. I don't think it's taking into account the butt sack, if you will, where James Pierce drove that right tackle in. Yep. Because I think he had another true clean sack where he literally just slapped Max Johnson down to the ground. Max Johnson getting tripped up by his offensive lineman on 4th and short.
Man,
Jimbo can't get it right on 4th and short, man. He just can't. Missing a long field goal from 50 or 51 with a pretty reliable kicker. And on a windy day, I'm gonna give you that. It's a windy day.
Sure.
And look, the breaks, I'm not trying to be, cliche. Tennessee took advantage of the breaks. Every single one of them, just about, they took advantage of the breaks.
Really?
Defensively. Let me say defensively.
Okay. Where my mind went, right?
Offensively, yeah. I realized that I left that out now.
Yeah. Well, let's start to land this plane unless you've got anything else that you wanted to cover.
Not too much. All the talk about the offense, all the hopes and dreams and aspirations that we had for this past game, what it could have been. There's not a scenario in the world where you don't take 4-2 start in 21, 6-0 start in 2022, 5-1 start in 2023. There's not a scenario in the world where you don't take that or your first 3-game win streak against the SEC West since 2001 or 2000. There's just not a scenario in the world where you don't take those. And that win on Saturday, that against a talented opponent like that, there's not an example prior to the late Fulmer era. You can't convince me. Yeah,
that's fair.
Butch and Pruitt's first wins at Missouri. Talk about Missouri's talent versus what Texas A&M has right now.
Oh, for sure. Defensive struggle to the most extensive degree you'll ever see, and we haven't won a game like that in like 2 decades. Yeah, no kidding. And consider this: 9-3 is very realistically back on the table.
Exactly. we're positioning our like I talked about, man. Just so much importance on that game. Like second place in the SECs could have been out the door with a loss in that game, because I'm not feeling good about Kentucky, Missouri, etc. Even though Kentucky looks like trash again, I'm not feeling good about those games if we lose that game on Saturday, especially if it went the trajectory of Texas A&M's first touchdown drive. But what a response, what a way to find a win, and just really my last thing is massive respect to Heupel for his self-criticism, his humility, talking about messing up some of those third and fourth downs.
Yeah,
thank you. I can't appreciate that enough. Even someone like Rick Barnes doesn't do that quite as well. There's obviously terrible examples out there. Lyle Allen Jones looking at you, but thank you, Heupel. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for owning those and winning while doing it. Yeah,
no kidding. Second in the division is possible. 9-3 is still possible. With as bad as Joe has been, man. So landing this plane, I want to end this this way. I predicted a 31-27 final. Real quick before I get to yours, this is the first game in the Heupel era, in Heupel's head coaching era, not just at Tennessee, at UCF as well, where he has won a game scoring less than 30 points. The final was 20-13. You said 27-19, which is just eerily close, man. Wickedly close.
So many scenarios where that could have been the case if an offense didn't have a hold or shoot itself in the foot. Just one time less than it did. I mean, I was right there at it. I can't actually be done yet. Time of possession, 29 minutes, 12 seconds for Tennessee, 30-48 for Texas A&M. It will never again in any normal year under Heupel be that close. And that's just a huge testament to this offensive line.
For sure. Consider your score, 27-19. If Ramel catches that ball and scores, and maybe at the end where they call that face mask on us and that allows them to get a late score. I mean, whatever. It was almost like it was Ramel Keaton's hands and it just fell to the floor.
100%, man.
Well, nonetheless, Vols, we need to take this win, enjoy it. I mean, you've now got a 3-game streak on West opponents, which we would have killed for in the Butch era. In the Pruitt, we'd killed to be in this scenario. We're in a scenario. Good teams find ways to win when things don't go their way. This is a game that we've been on the opposite end of so many times. Not this last Saturday. Came out on top to the tune of 20-13. This is Pandemonium Reigns. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We love doing this with you. We continue to grow. Thank you guys for that. We're going to end this episode with a thank you to our sponsor. We love you guys. Have a great week. God bless. Go Vols.
GBO.
Pandemonium Reigns.
Buying or selling a home can be a nightmare to do on your own or without the right help, which is why you need Lauren Foster. Lauren has been serving the North Georgia and Lake Lanier area for over 5 years. She is also a member of the KWC $1 Million Club, meaning she's really good at finding your dream home. Certified and ready to serve Georgians all over Forsyth, Hall, and Dawson County. Contact Lauren Foster today at laurenfoster1@kw.com. Again, that email is laurenfoster1@kw.com. Give her a call or a text, 770-480-8009. Again, that's 770-480-8009. Your realtor for the North Georgia area. Lauren Foster, proud sponsor of Pandemonium Reigns.